And Donald Trump thinks he knows something we don't know.
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Welcome into my state of mind. I am Dan York on this Tuesday evening. Now this is a interesting night. If you're watching the program at 7:30, you don't know what's happened with these 5 key states in the primaries. If you're watching this show at midnight, and so many of you do, you watch it at 7:30 a lot too, but a lot of people watch it at midnight on Fox Providence. You know, and I don't, because don't tell anybody, we record this program late in the afternoon each weekday. So clearly we'll be able to dig into that on the radio tomorrow at noontime on WPRO, weekdays noon to 3, of course. And tomorrow we will have more chairs of the, I think the cruise people, right, Lex, tomorrow? The cruise people will be in here tomorrow talking about their chances. But tonight, we're going to bring in a couple of local Muslim leaders to once again respond to Donald Trump throwing that thing out there, you know, that thing, whatever that thing is. Let's go to the rundown and take a look at what we've got. Yeah, you know, it's an anxious day. I think, maybe not for some of you who think this is the day that Trump is made, but for those of us who worry about the nation being led by him, it is an anxious day. If Florida goes Rubio's way, well, that's all right, 99 delegates. Don't think it will. If Ohio goes Kasich's way, it might. That may start to turn the tables toward a contested convention. Headlines on this and data on this. These are the delegate counts. This is Democrat, of course, see blue. And Bernie Sanders trails significantly, but today could make up some significant ground. And then, you know, Cruz is sitting there drafting, but this is not his sweet spot where the primaries are going today. There's Kasich all the way down there at the bottom, but that bottom could be more, you know, more impactful than actually even a Rubio or certainly Cruz. Let's take a look at what the headlines are saying. It's a crucial day for those who want to stop Donald Trump, and of course we've got a package to talk about it.
The face of the Republican presidential race could change today as voters cast ballots on primary day in Florida, Ohio, Illinois, North Carolina, and Missouri.
Your governor is totally overrated.
GOP frontrunner Donald Trump leads the polls in every state except Ohio, where he is in a virtual tie with the state's popular governor, John Kasich. He voted this morning and said he feels proud of his campaign.
The positive campaign is now starting to shine through like a beacon.
Here in Florida, Marco Rubio's political future is on the line at polling places like this. The senator predicted a win in his home state, but is way behind in the polls.
This state will elect 99 delegates to one person. And I want it to be me.
Ted Cruz may have his best shot at winning in Illinois, where the latest CBS News battleground tracker has the Texas senator within striking distance of Trump. Meanwhile, on the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders is trying to pull off another Midwest upset against Hillary Clinton. The Vermont senator is making a run for Missouri, Ohio, and Illinois.
In the states that are coming down the pike, we have great opportunities to win many of them, so we're feeling really good.
But Clinton sounded very confident on the campaign trail this morning in Raleigh, North Carolina.
I think the numbers are adding up in my favor.
Clinton also took a jab at Trump, saying his bullying campaign style is disturbing to the majority of Americans.
You know, it's funny, you look at Rubio there, 99 delegates, and someone's going, it's not going to be me. And 3 weeks ago, he lost his, you know what, just lost it. I mean, he tried to match Trump with Trump, and it didn't serve him well, and now even his wife and kids say they're embarrassed over what that stunt was all about. And he didn't look very presidential. He looked like he was 19 years old. Of course, Trump looks like he's 14, so, but neither one of those guys are going to, let's put it this way, it works for Trump for ways that are almost unexplainable. It doesn't work for Rubio. I'm guessing it's not going to be a good night for him. In the meantime, just as a laugh, because we got an important conversation coming up here, I just thought I'd play this. She is nuts. Watch.
We don't have time for is all that petty, punk-ass little thuggery stuff that's been going on with these quote-unquote protesters who are doing nothing but wasting your time and trying to take away your First Amendment rights, your rights to assemble peacefully, and the media being on the thug side. What the heck are you guys thinking, media? It doesn't make sense.
I'm just thinking, what's John McCain think when he sees that? Like, what were we smoking back then, right? Right? McCain's got to be going, oh, please don't. Please don't. Therapy sessions are done. I can't get any more authorized. You know, just please stop. She's rogue. She's always been rogue. All right, so let's talk about what's going on with Trump on this particular subject matter, because he kicked it up again last week. Headlines here. This is interesting. I don't know if this is true. I'll ask some of my local leaders here as to whether they think it is true, but here's what Donald Trump had to say to Anderson Cooper.
I think Islam hates us. There's something there that there's a tremendous hatred there. There's a tremendous hatred. We have to get to the bottom of it. There is an unbelievable hatred of us.
In Islam itself?
You're going to have to figure that out, okay? You'll get another Pulitzer, right? But you're going to have to figure that out. But there is a tremendous hatred, and we have to be very vigilant. We have to be very careful, and we can't allow people coming into this country who have this hatred of the United States.
I guess the question is,
and of people that are not Muslim.
I guess the question is there a war between the West and radical Islam, or is there a war between the West and Islam
It's
itself?
radical, but it's very hard to define. It's very hard to separate because you don't know who's who.
You don't know who's who. We don't know what lurks within you.
Of course, that's the kind of rhetoric that we're facing, just this murky, suspicious, and really a lot of times hateful rhetoric from someone who's running for president. It's really problematic.
Adnan, Adrian, Wood Smith. That's a lot of syllables with short words. You got a compound name, compound name. Chaplain for the Muslim community at Brown University, and now, congratulations, the new president of the Rhode Island Council for Muslim Advancement. Not your first visit or rodeo here on this show. Give me, before we bring out our next guest, to share the conversation with us. What is this notion that? Well, how do you respond to this notion that Trump would suggest that it's almost as if he knows something that you and I don't know? He may not even know himself, but there's something out there that is indescribable, undefined, and certainly something for everybody to be significantly worried about.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of speech that he uses, or people like him using hate speech. Really, what it is, and just coming from a place of claiming a certain knowledge, and then using that certain knowledge to, or that knowledge having. And that speech having effects that are really affecting real people. So things that might not be real about broad groups of people actually affecting real people in real time. Our community, me as a Muslim, my family, we feel threatened in this environment, and people are threatened. People are getting hurt.
Did it spike after last week, after those comments, or has it just been part of the kind of the Trump roller coaster here?
I think it's all just part of the roller coaster. I mean, it's just more of the same. He's been saying this kind of stuff for a while.
Right, but he doubled down with a crucial debate with that interview, and then we'll talk about some of the debate rhetoric. Well, we'll continue with our guest and add one more from the Islamic school here in Rhode Island to talk about what these realities are. And I'm curious as to whether Muslim voter turnout is going to be higher due to all of this. Stay with us, please.
Mr. Trump, let me start with you. Last night you told CNN, quote, Islam hates us. Did you mean all 1.6 billion Muslims?
I mean a lot of them. I mean a lot of them.
Do you want to clarify the comment at all?
Well, you know, I've been watching the debate today, and they're talking about radical Islamic terrorism or radical Islam, but I will tell you there's something going on that maybe you don't know about and maybe a lot of other people don't know about, but there's tremendous hatred, and I will stick with exactly what I said to Anderson Cooper.
It's got to be difficult to constantly battle this. Abdelnasser Hussein is the principal of the Islamic School of Rhode Island. Nice to have you back.
Thank you so much.
And you know each other, Adnan, Adrian, Wood Smith. Conversation. Let's not hold anything back. You watch the debate, you think, come on, man. You know, every day, what?
It's actually not every day, and that's it. It's escalating. Mr. Trump started talking about some Muslims, then Muslims, then now he is accusing the religion. He says Islam hates us. In what way, in what part of the history of human beings have we seen anyone talking about a religion in that way? I can understand when we are talking about, or he is talking about some Muslims, yes, this can be a point of discussion. But talking about Islam, and Islam hates us, so he is escalating the idea, making it a kind of war between a religion and the West, a religion and the United States.
Yeah, and that's a great point. There are people who will try to penetrate some of your, I don't know, dogma, for lack of a better term, and say, look, there is clear evidence in there of this hatred. Just look at it, just read it, just take a look at the Quran, just read it, read it, read it. And we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
But your response to that is what?
You can justify anything when looking at, especially a religion that aims to look comprehensively at human life. You can pick apart one thing and focus on anything. It's similar to if we were to look at the Constitution. You could just pick apart the Constitution or Declaration of Independence, something like that. All men are created equal. Come with our language today, oh, all men. What about women? That justifies then cutting women out of the picture. And this is the same kind of way that we look at things. Also, how the Constitution originally, that slaves were 3/5 of a person, each slave was 3/5 of a person. You can look at that and say, oh, that justifies then the demonization of people who have a history of ancestors who are slaves and that kind of thing. You can justify from many different foundational documents for many of us all kinds of crazy things. But the real question is how do Muslims actually take that? How do they understand that? How does the Islamic tradition understand that? Are there hate-filled people in the Muslim community? Yes, there are. Are they hate-filled Americans who say it's American to hate? Yeah, KKK. They're all about waving American flags and saying this is what it means to be American for me. It's the same human phenomenon. You have it in any kind of group.
Well, look, I invited you here to be able to respond. I think there's a sensibility amongst most Americans, and when Donald Trump talks this way, it might be where they're most nervous about his hyperbole. Mm-hmm. I hope so. Do you think so?
I would like to say, if we come to any of the holy books for Christianity, for Judaism, for Islam, and you would like to find something against the people of the same religion, and to spread this rhetoric against them, you will find in every book.
I think that's what Adrian is saying.
Yeah.
But I'm asking you, do you get a sense that when he's out there, 11 feet out on a 10-foot board on this, is it your hope, or do you get a sense that most Americans understand that to be where the dangerous place is for Donald Trump, that he's just out there flailing? Do you have the ability to actually put yourself out of your Islamic perspective and just kind of look at it? And I don't know where to put it. I don't know where to put it. I don't think it's his point of view on Islam that drives his popularity.
Exactly.
But it's a component of it.
Exactly. This is one thing that many supporters of Trump would say, many quote-unquote reasonable supporters of Trump would say, look at the man, he can be, what he can do for our country. Okay, he says some crazy things. I don't agree with everything that he says, but overall, what he stands for, every bad person in the world, every dictator in the world right now is doing something positive that could be framed as positive in the world. And yet, when you are actively supporting someone who espouses hateful rhetoric and rhetoric that just blasts the whole community of people in this country, in this world, then you're putting your support behind that.
He talks about Steve. If you'd run me this second piece of audio from the debate, Trump on Islam, could you run that for me? I want to get a reaction.
Well, we've had a lot of consequences, including airplanes flying into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and could have been the White House. There have been a lot of problems. Now, you can say what you want, and you can be politically correct if you want. I don't want to be so politically correct. I like to solve problems. We have a serious, serious problem of hate. There is tremendous hate. There is tremendous hate. Where large portions of a group of people, Islam, large portions want to use very, very harsh means. Let me go a step further. Women are treated horribly. You know that. You do know that. Women are treated horribly, and other things are happening that are very, very bad. Now, I will say this. There is tremendous hatred. The question was asked, what do you think? And I said, There is hatred. Now, it'd be very easy for me to say something differently, and everybody would say, "Oh, isn't that wonderful?"
Mr. Trump,
we
thank
better solve the problem before it's too late.
So what does your gut say when you see that?
When I see that, I'm thinking about something. Mr. Trump is trying to make the religion is the factor in hatred. If there is some kind of hatred, there is. No one can deny that. But I would like to say it's mainly political. It doesn't come from the point of religion. Islam didn't teach us that. Muslims don't practice this. But I have to confess also that we have some individuals who did that, as he mentioned already in this speech. He's talking about an example. He's talking about 9/11, okay? But to me, as an individual, as a person who is living in this country, this was or have been already raised politically. It's not raised because of that.
We've had some pretty deep conversation about that. That a lot of the challenges, the conditions in a lot of countries where Islam is, it dominates, there are economic issues. There are all sorts of political issues that cause anybody, no matter what your religion, to be frustrated.
Right.
The radicalization is the thing that he's speaking about, and what he's doing is he is assuming that a number he won't quantify, but plenty of them, are radicalized. And your data would show that the radicalization is what infinitesimal percentage? Can you ever put a number on that?
It's very, like you said, infinitesimally small. Just the other week, I was speaking with a local FBI agent who confirmed to me. He said, "Look, we don't really have much of a problem with Islamic terrorism in this country. In fact, the problem that we have is for people, for Muslims who don't really know much." And go on the internet and find something. But for Muslims who are in the community, involved in mosque and that kind of thing, they're not the problem. And yet those Muslims are being attacked right now.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I'm just gonna go very recently when we had 2015. How many mass shootings that happened in the United States? We are talking about more than 350. How many of them has been done or committed by Muslims? 2 incidents, and we left all the problem and no talk about the gun violence and coming to talk only the 2 incidents. I don't minimize what happened by the 2 Muslims. No, I don't say that, but I say put it in the large image of what's going around.
All right, the CARE organization had some things to say to Donald Trump about what he said last week. We'll get a reaction when we come back. Stay with us.
Trump should apologize to all of the Muslims worldwide whose faith inspires them to fight ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and their ideological allies. Mr. Trump is apparently unaware that America's greatest strength is the fact that we are a melting pot. We also invite Mr. Trump to meet with the leaders, Muslim leaders gathered here today, so that he can know who we are as faith community leaders and how our faith inspires us to do good deeds. He will learn that we are citizens and we contribute to our nation.
Interesting enough, I got my own issues with CARE on some political levels, but I think that invitation is a healthy one, right? Because more communication is better for everybody. The interesting thing if Donald Trump takes the invitation, and when he takes that invitation, and whether he ever adjusts his point of view, I don't know whether it serves his political purposes to right now adjust his point of view. But we have talked at length in the past about the more exposure that you get, the more conversation that we can have, the more the temperature comes down. Yes?
Yes, I believe so.
So that's a good move by CARE on that level, I think.
Yes. Just like for us, we're having an open house at Brown this weekend, 11 a.m. on Saturday, 69 Brown Street, room 411. We want to invite people in, have a conversation, introduction about Islam, hearing from Muslims, because much of the reason why people are allowed to say stuff like this is because many Americans don't actually know real Muslims in their lives. They hear about Islam from the television, from online, from these talking heads like this, and don't really have experience with real Muslims.
Talk to me about this. Do you think, as the headline in the Washington Post indicated that we played earlier, do you think there'll be a higher Muslim turnout here in Rhode Island and across the country based on what we're hearing rhetorically from Trump at all?
In what sense? You mean
like
that
one way to fight back is at the polls for any issue that you think you're being hurt by.
This is the idea here. I am sure that will never happen here. I'm sure we have our leaders, we have our communities are sensible and very wise enough not to come to the point of fighting.
No, but we have a
against anyone.
presidential race, though, coming here in November in a primary.
Terms of more participation,
yeah, in terms of more participation.
Without fighting, we can never come to that point in any physical connection. But yes, we have to take our role in the way that we are going to vote for whom. The Muslim community here are responsible to really choose and vote for the person who are going to serve the community, and before the community serve that country.
Well, it's going to be interesting because we've talked before in a show you participated in with Imam
Fareed.
He was terrific. He actually described in psychographic, political psychographic ways that a lot of Muslims and people who observe Islam are well off. They're highly educated. They may be politically conservative.
Right.
They may be in a place where they'd like to vote Republican, and this guy's going to be.
We tend to be socially conservative as
right. So I mean,
right.
It's not like you're puddle jumping over the Democrats necessarily so easily, right?
Right.
So where does that leave you politically, do you think?
That's true. I mean, so first of all, just off of your point, that more Muslims are wanting to be engaged, but if you're in the Republican Party and the Republican Party is important to you, then there isn't much room for Muslims right now in the Republican Party, and there could be. Like I said, Muslims tend to be socially conservative. We share a lot of issues on conservatives like that. And there are many. We don't fit neatly into a party line. But what's going on in the Republican Party definitely pushes the Muslims in general towards the Democrats. Who of us wants to be part of a party in which the front runner is saying these horrible things about our community and our faith?
Final thought.
But I would like to say we are not interested to get affiliated to a party, but we are interested and getting more interested to choose our president.
Right.
This is the idea. For me,
that's a good thing for everybody.
Yeah, this is the idea here. But the idea to practice politics through a party, I'm sure we are very, very conservative in that regard. But the idea of to choose the president of the United States, there is nothing to call or to say conservative or not. We have to, and we are willing to share, and we are willing strongly to choose the president of this country.
Last thought, 10 seconds.
We need to connect and learn from each other. As you said, the most important thing is actually talking with each other rather than just the talking heads on the TV.
All right, we'll stay in touch. Thanks for coming. Final word next. People know I'm connected to the URI basketball program as the public address announcer, and I keep my ear to the ground, but I have no idea. Here are the headlines that are running. There's Sunday's headline in New Jersey, and here's this headline in the Projo. And I would suggest if you just figure this whole thing out. Here are the issues when it comes to Danny Hurley and whether or not he's leaving Rhode Island. Going home, and Jersey is home, is always kind of a cool thing. I'm a Jersey guy. I haven't gone home. I go home, I miss it, but Rhode Island's like Jersey. It really is. I think it's North Jersey. But $2 million a year for 7 years and a chance to rebuild, fine. But if you're tired of rebuilding, you got a championship program here at URI. And who knows what the future holds in store. So think good thoughts. But at the end of the day, it's one man's decision all by himself. We'll know soon enough. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow at noon. Tomorrow I'm back here with more politics. Bye.